All right.
All right.
Thank
Let
you,
me
Barnabas.
share
Take it away.
my screen. All right. Can you see my editor at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I haven't prepared anything too structured. I'm just gonna go through what I've built like in the last a month or so, I'd say. Um, it's kind of the second attempt that I started. I did it first and I did pretty much only vibe coded there, and at some point Claude did something really, really weird with the permissions, and I kind of decided to throw that all away and start over. Um, yeah, it's kind of ever since the last meetup that I attended here, where you, Micah, showed us the whole GitHub Copilot stuff. I kind of gotten more into using the agents, and I started with Copilot and Sonnet 3.7 back then, and tried to let it create the file upload thing with live view, and it kind of worked, but I wasn't too fascinated with it back then. But I think with Cloud Code and the new Sonnet 4 models and Opus 4, it really gotten a lot better for me at least. And yeah, I've then kind of bitten into the sour grape and bought a Mac subscription, and ever since then I kind of leaned in hard and kind of try to use it for everything just to get a feel for when it's giving me efficiency gains and when it's not doing so well. And yeah, it's been pretty well so far. I mostly run two or three clouds in parallel, mostly in different projects at the moment. But today, for the first time, I used a dev script that I created with Cloud that creates a new Git work tree and adds to your config stuff to set up a new database and everything, and changes the port so you can run like multiple clouds with Tidewave and everything in on the same project and just let it do its stuff. Also, just feel free to just interrupt whenever if you have questions or things.
That was actually my question. You answered it already. Is like, how do
Yeah,
you run multiple work trees with Tidewave? Because I've tried to run multiple work trees and it's
yeah.
all stepping on things. So
And I have it's up on GitHub as well. It's just a bash script that sets up a new Postgres with Docker. Adds uh like a config, a dev.local.xs file into it, sets up a new Postgres with a random port, and yeah, then it just pretty much works from there. I also had to add live debugger today because that was still missing, but otherwise, yeah, that worked pretty well today. And so with Claude 4, then I started playing around with the Discord bot and Ash AI, just kind of to explore the whole space a little bit more. And the thing, like right now, it's kind of in a, I would say, in a like a playground state. I have a couple of features that work, but there's a lot of polish needed. And the last thing that I did was a feature to copy messages from one channel to another. And that was also kind of the point where I had to take over mostly from Claude because it just couldn't do it anymore. And I think it was kind of also because I didn't know the Discord stuff good enough, so I couldn't feed it the right context. So I took over and kind of learned the stuff. And I think going forward, I can probably use it more again now that I can explain better what I want. Um, so let me show you uh, one example of what it can do. So one thing that I did, I used Bumblebee um, to generate images and connect them to Discord. And then another thing I did was I used a local model with Olama to automatically like analyze the messages for content, like violent content and stuff like that. And that also worked pretty nicely. And now with the move feature, I also use now the Anthropic API through like an API function to um, give it a list of messages so you can um, mark the start and the end of a series of messages, and then it goes through and gives me back the messages that all belong to that conversation and not leaves out all the random bits in between. And that also works pretty smoothly now, and I'll show an example of that uh, later as well. And so for Claude, I think the great thing now is also commands. I use them really heavily. Um, I have most of them right now. I have in my home folder, but I have some in the project as well. And I'm still trying to figure out where the best place is to put them because it's kind of annoying because you can't really like I want to have them in my home directory because I want to have them for all of the projects. But on the other hand, um, I might work on JavaScript in the one project and Elixir in the other one, and there's not really a good way to separate it in the home folder at the moment. So it's still figuring that out. So any suggestions there are welcome. Um, yeah, so and now I have like all of these small commands like this one, for example. And this one I made after I kind of felt like that Claude was a bit overwhelmed by all the error messages that it was getting when it always ran mixed tests. So I just told it to focus on one test at a time. And I had pretty good um, experience with that. And it was kind of nice to see Claude also build up a lot of context one test at a time. So now like 3 times uh, like it was like, oh, okay, I just fixed that, and I can do it the same way here, and that got it pretty far. And so for the first thing that I did with Discord, I use Nostrum. I don't know if you've heard about the library. Let me.
No.
And it does all the communication with Discord, the WebSocket stuff underneath to get all the events and everything. And I kind of started just with that, and then I just started getting all the messages and saving it to the database, and I used Ash resources for that. And then I wanted a way to expose commands to Discord, and I kind of like the idea to have it as a DSL for Ash. And it felt kind of similar what we were already doing for tools for the from ASHI. So I told Claude to just um, implement that pretty much, and I think this is probably the document. So I have like a feature command where I tell it to go and research and then create a planning document of a certain, like with a certain pattern of sections and stuff and a checklist so it can keep all of the things that it done in sync with it so it can pick up the stuff like on the next day and whatever. Um, and it did pretty well with this one.
Did it
It
write
create
the Discord extension?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, like the Discord extension did pretty much all of it by itself. Yeah.
I haven't had luck with it writing Ash extensions, so
Yeah. I think it's like we also did internally, I think a test for a data layer and with I think it was cockroach or something. And because the cockroach logs are pretty good and for the data layer, the behavior is also pretty well defined within Ash, it was like pretty good at implementing a MVP for that as well. Yeah, I think I had pretty good luck with Claude and Ash in general. Um, I feel like because everything pretty much has a behavior in a certain place to put it into Ash, it's a bit easier for Claude once it has a couple of examples in the project to look at. So it does a bit better restructuring everything in my experience, but I don't have a lot of experience with non-Ash projects, I have to say.
So I don't know a lot
Um,
about the Discord interface here. So when you say command chat create for this one, how does it know? Do you have to type the word create? Like, how does it know that you're trying to start a chat? Or is it
okay.
anytime?
Yeah. So this just defines the name of the command that is then registered with Discord. So this would be just /chat. And then when the interaction gets sent to the bot, it knows to call the create action on the conversation with the arguments from the command. And it looks at the inputs that are accepted by the action as well as the arguments to set up the option it needs to register the command in the Discord server.
Question, are you
Um,
registering command with this app or is that happening separately?
sorry, I didn't get that.
Closer. Are you registering the, are you actually registering the command here or is this just
Um,
app that
well, you define those things. You can define those things on your domains. So I have it here on my Discord domain. I have the definitions, and then what I created in Ash Discord is the I need to search. Yeah, this one. So you get this Ash Discord consumer, which essentially wraps the Nostrum one, and you can register the domains. And then during compile time, it will collect all of those commands that you've registered. And then right now at startup, it registers those with the Discord servers. And there's some missing functionality on like adding it when a new server comes online and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, it's in a kind of playground state, but I'm working on like getting it ready, getting it to like a bit of a stable base, and then I'm thinking that I'm extracting Ash Discord out to its own library and releasing that.
that answers my question? Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and an example of that would be, where is Discord? So right here I have history is pretty much the simplest one, and this just lists your chats, like your conversations that you have opened on the generated chat that you get with Ash AI, and I'll show that also. And then I can open another chat. Right, like here is the window with the chats. So I have two chats now, and then I can go here
Wow.
and say, how was the weather today? I don't know. And then through the magic of live view, it's here, and the AI or the LLM answered already.
And it sent that back to Discord as well.
I know this is right now. This is not connected. Yeah. So this was pretty much with what I started command-wise, playing around with it. And the way that that works is just the generated chat, and I just create the new one, and then Azure one picks up. And this is pretty much like if we look here in the Discord domain. So here, this, oh, is it in the? I'm normally in NeoVim. I'm just using this for for showing it because I don't have like the font size set up and everything. Okay, so it's defined here. So this just calls the create action on this resource. Exactly.
What
And
terminal do
then
you use?
like regularly I just use the console one. I use Yakuake. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a drop-down terminal. Then I just have full screen uh console and I just use Tmax.
Or,
Tmax and UVim and Cloud.
I didn't know if Command Plus could bump your font.
Ah, okay, not it's not that fancy. It's just a built-in one from KDE. I can probably set it up, but yeah, didn't take the time to set up that for sharing. Yeah, and then just regular Ash Oban, there's a trigger with respawn, and it just looks for chats that needs a response. This is a calculation on the resource. Oops. Yeah, and this just looks if the source is a user and there is no response, it will just respond. Like there's a if you look in Urban, no, sorry, this is all over the place. Uh, but this runs a scheduler and they pick up all the resources that match the where clause and then runs the specified action on those. And that's what actually gets the response into the chat. All right. And as you saw on the Discord domain, we have tools for the AI as well. And this one I exposed through the chat on the Elixir side, on the LiveView side. And just these are just the standard read actions for all of those three resources. And just with that, you already get like some pretty nice interactions. Like here, okay, I have to zoom in, right? I can just ask the chatbot to summarize the last 15 minutes of what happened in the Discord server, and you could just ask it for summaries of like the different channels and whatever you want. And like the plan is to also expose like features to manage the Discord bot, to manage the Discord server for this one, and I can show this also as well. I asked it if there are any problematic messages in the Discord server, and then it just looked at moderation flags and saw, oh, okay, there is one message that was flagged for violent crimes.
I like
And
bugging people.
yeah, this is pretty rudimentary at the moment. It uses Llama Guard 3, and this was my first test that I did just for doing something with local models, and I actually wanted to have like Llama 3 take in the message and then call into Llama Guard 3 to get get like the rating for it, and then does like do a bit of a better summary. The summary and that stuff is now just pretty much hard coded. Um, but the problems with the local models for me was that I couldn't get it to reliably call tools. So then I went back and just used the Anthropic adapter again, and then I could get Anthropic to call the tool for the classification and get a nice summary from that. But I wanted to have something that I could just run without dependency on an external LLM, so I just went back and now I'm just doing the Llama Guard 3 at the moment. And then I just went into the database and deleted the flag. And then I asked if it could see the result, and then it went in and looked at the flags again, and it said, "Yeah, okay, no, the flag is gone, and that probably means that we did something." So yeah, so that's kind of fun, just talking to the AI about what's happening on the Discord server. Um, yeah. And then after that, I started working on the image generation, and that one was pretty cool because there is this blog post from Dockyard about how to use Bumblebee, like Stable Diffusion with Bumblebee. So I just fed that into Claude and said I want to have this as a Discord command, and it got pretty far. Um, got it mostly running. The first thing that it did, it was kind of strange, is it kind of did all of that in a Gen server. So it would feed every request for an image through a Gen server, and that would just time out all the time because it takes a lot of time. So yeah, I had to work with it on that. But then it came up with a way to load the models with the Gen server at startup and then just use Oban jobs where we could then work with the model using NX um, to do that. And the one thing I will do want to do with that in the future is try out doing it with Flame. Because at the moment, because I have an AMD GPU, it's really slow. It takes 2 minutes to generate one image, but yeah, it's fun that it works, I guess. Um, so yeah, let me show the code for that. Mm. Now I wanted to show the feature document for first. Mm. I added Quokka to the project recently, um, and by default it just aliases everything, which is a bit too much. And
What
yeah,
is
but
Quokka?
other sorry,
What is Quokka?
Quokka is a fork of Styler that is configurable, and it has a bunch of also fixers for common Credo issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Bup, bup, bup. Yeah. Now that was the second one. Nodes features. Yeah, I think it just reworked it into that one. So that was kind of the second step that I took. So the first one then just worked, but it did it just everything in one Oban job, and I wanted to have kind of like a multi-step features where it just generated the image first, then would send the message to Discord, and then would do the file cleanup and everything. And that's a kind of good fit for Azure State Machine in combination with Azure Oban. And I worked pretty long with it on just different state transitions that would be possible. And after that, it did pretty much one shot the refactoring into the multiple steps. That was pretty impressive. But I think, yeah, the specification helped a lot here. So generate image. So now I just have a bunch of these changes, and every change pretty much represents one Oban job. And here, I mean, the code is pretty cloudy still. I'm cleaning that up at the moment, just fixing stuff, but yeah, it's a work in progress. And so this actually was then not that hard. And the way I organize this at the moment is I have this job resource that is a generic job, and then it has embedded in it embedded resource from Ash that has all the details of the specific jobs. And right now I have the image generation one, and I have the message move one. And because it got kinda out of hand, the resource here, I started doing it in two fragments. So now I have one fragment for image generation where I just define all of the things on the job. that are necessary for the image generation, one fragment for messages moved. This is also a pretty nice feature to get your resources a bit smaller, and it should also help with compile times. And so everything is just an open job, and this also gives me the ability to have like one queue for image generation because it's pretty slow and more stuff for the others. And also with the Discord API and stuff, I thought that then if I needed it, I could go with OpenPro and have rate limiting for the different Discord guilds pretty much out of the box. Yeah, so I have a trigger for everything, and the way you trigger it again is on the domain with the command generate image. And now we can generate an image. Whoops. The strange thing is that I haven't figured out yet is that I have this old version of the command and the new version, and I kick the bot and inf it again, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't disappear. But it works, both commands work, so I don't know. I just leave it for now. And now, the nice thing is now that OpenWeb is free, we can just see all the jobs here. And this takes about 2 minutes, and then we get the result. And in the meantime, so the next thing that I worked on, like I said, is the message move feature. And for that, I prepared a small test conversation in one of the channels. Oops. And the way I modeled it here is that you can mark a start message and an end message. And then it would collect all of the messages in between and send those off to Anthropic and give me back all of the IDs that belong to the conversation. So this is just an example that I got from Claude. It's just two people talking about making dinner reservations. And then there are like some messages in between, like this one, that are just random. And it should hopefully don't move those as well. So now we can select another channel. Let's say we want to move it to world. And then we confirm it. Now we start the messages trickling in, and the messages get deleted here. And the two random ones are still here. And all the other ones are here. You can see that it's sent by the app, but it's possible to change the username and the avatar. And it's actually pretty, it takes a lot of steps to do this in Discord because you can't really send just messages to the channels, at least not in a way that would show different pictures and names. So what we have to do now is we have to first create a webhook endpoint for a specific channel and then send messages through those to that webhook, and that they will then they will then create messages in the channel. Okay. So this is the image we created with Bumblebee.
Is that
That's about
is,
right.
is that Orlando having an earthquake?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's a bit of a throwback, like to a couple of years to when they were really bad. I know somewhere here I already asked it for also Florida meetup. Yeah, and like that's the faces are like a horror show. Yeah, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah, so that's pretty nice, and that's also one of the features that we would like to have maybe for the Ash Discord, because we have a lot of people coming in and asking questions, and it would be nice to have those all in that specific support forum or whatever you call it in Discord, because that one also gets mirrored out to a web page and is then indexed by Google, so it can help with discoverability for problems as well. So yeah, and like with the chat again to show that other thing. The problem sometimes is like I don't have a lot of money in the API key and whatever, and you get rate limited a lot. But if you ask it if there are any problematic messages, right now there shouldn't be. Uh, oops. And there's actually when you do this now, there is a a new feature in the installer for the chat where you get Markdown to HTML rendering. I think I did it before then. Okay, there are no active moderations flag in the system. So I don't know, this always feels strange to type, but I like punching people. And then this should also trigger an O-Bahn job. Will be already done. No, or not.
There it was.
Okay.
Ah, yeah, there, content moderation check. All right. And then can you check again? And right now, this is all pretty naively implemented, and it always has to get a lot of messages and stuff. But oh, okay, yeah, and it found the message. All right. So, is there any of the things that you are more interested into looking in, or are there any questions at the moment?
This is a lot of work. I mean, I'm impressed. Let's just put it that sounds
Yeah, I did it mostly just on the side while watching TV. Um, yeah, that and then yeah, this week I spent, I think yeah, maybe between 1 and 2 days to really fix that message move problem and get that working. But otherwise, yeah, it's mostly just been Claude doing most of the work, and I'm still paying for it in some regards. And I think like getting all the policies right next and stuff like that. I already saw um, Claude sneak in some bypass rules that we don't really want, and so that's going to be a lot of work. But yeah, I think for me it's just the ability to do something on the side and just checking in from time to time, and um, it gave me a lot of more free time. It feels like, and the yeah, the thing that I'm kind of struggling with at the moment is also when, like, at what point is it better to just go in and do it by hand, and when do I just let it run and kind of brute force the problem? Maybe is like a way to say it. And I'd also be curious in like other people's experiences there.
I have the same struggle. Lately, I've been letting the AI build like an initial pass at a feature, looking at the
Hmm.
code and figuring out, is there something I could learn from this? Because sometimes it does something novel that I didn't understand. And then sometimes it like just goes off the rails, right? And then I
Yeah.
usually what I do is I throw away the implementation because it usually takes, depending on the feature size, right? It usually takes, a few minutes to generate, and I can be doing something else while it's generating it. Check it, and then I'll throw away that whole implementation and I'll start over with a new prompt based off of what what I learned from the last one and
Mm-hmm.
get it to regenerate from the new information that I have. Because I find that if you once you've generated something, if you try to get it to change what is generated, it it wants to like stay stuck on like an idea versus
Mm-hmm.
versus like actually fixing it. So I find that I found recently, and because I was just fighting with the thing all the time.
Yeah.
But I found recently that I'll just let it generate something, and if it's not perfect or exactly what I want the first time, I'll just throw it away and reprompt it.
Yeah, okay, I haven't done it. I have to try that, but I think it might make sense. Maybe the like just the old implementation being there in the context kind of forces it back into that direction, maybe.
I guess, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And everybody that I know that's doing, you know, prompting heavily, maybe Vinny has some different ideas. Um, Anybody that I know that's really heavily prompting, like day to day, they, you know, it'll get in weird states, and it's like when
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part is in my mind is going, okay, I can regenerate this versus my default is I can fix this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I can fix this ends up costing me more time than if I had just written it myself. Or if I had just thrown it away and regenerated it a couple times. In fact, the thing I worked on today, I generated it 3 different times um, until I finally found a solution that I liked, and then I threw away the solution and hand coded it. Because it was like it got me to the point where I realized this problem I was thinking about it in a like way too complicated of a way, and I
Mm-hmm.
could simplify it. So just prompting it a few times helped me simplify the problem in my head and be able to implement some pretty straightforward code that I would not have had I not prompted it a few times.
Do you create a plan using AI before you ask it to generate code, or do you ask it to do like a one shot?
Yes and no. So Barnabas, I don't know how you're doing this, but I've been using Claude Code's planning feature very heavily now that that's been
Mm-hmm.
implemented. I used to, I had a command and I would run the command and use that command to generate like a prompt file for what to do. What I've learned though, from my experiences, is that I was having that plan build like a whole bunch of like small tasks on files on disk and then try to implement all those small files on disk so that I didn't blow the context window. What I've learned is that I probably need to be having smaller prompts anyways, and just trying to figure out like what are little incremental steps. Because what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do is I want to have the AI just one shot something. I want to give it some vague message and I want it to build exactly what I want. But that's
Yeah, that's not the reality.
it's not reality. So it's like how do I get myself? My experience recently has been how do I get myself to scale back on how much I'm relying on AI and trying to figure out exactly what Barnabas was saying is like, when is it better for me just to implement it versus really digging into the AI, trying to get the AI to do it right.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it's great. Sometimes I'll give it like a really hard problem and it'll one-shot it and it's impressive. And then sometimes I give it a really easy problem that I'm like, there's no way you could mess this up. And it'll get in an infinite loop where it can't figure out how to add an if statement. And I'll be like, add the if statement on this line. And it'll be like, yeah, sure, but first let me go do all these other things. And like, stop, add the if statement on this line. And I'll just be arguing with it, right? And like,
Yeah.
I could just
Yeah.
go do it.
Yeah. And
I personally have a hard time with that.
I also use the planning mode. I still use my old feature command, but I just started in planning mode. And what I do, I also because I kind of find that I need to go and review the things more often because if it's like a huge change with I also spend a really long time just fitting all of that, like getting the context into my head again to be able to review everything. And so what I've been doing in my plan, I let it write down all the steps and I tell it just do one step at a time, and then I have another step command that just tells it to go fetch the doc again, look at what's been done, and go do the next step. And I did that because sometimes I feel it helps, like kind of like a step between throwing away and redoing everything. It's just starting a new session with Claude to get rid of the context. Also helps, but maybe doing it all over again might be better, so I have to try that. Um,
I definitely think we're all learning right now. That's the thing.
yeah.
Everybody has
And
the way.
it's just fun trying things out and exploring and seeing what it's doing. And sometimes it comes back with like a really interesting idea that you hadn't really thought about before, and it leads you down a totally different path that you would have never imagined. And that's also really fun. Um, and then on the other hand, I found like with the message move feature, because I just didn't know enough about the Discord API um, to tell it what I wanted, and just telling Claude to go look at the docs and figuring out by itself didn't work. So I think you have to, if you don't have like something that is a very, very good specification, then you have to know about the problem yourself to be able to tell Claude what it's doing, because it's just not, yeah. Otherwise, you're just spending time. But on the other hand, I also, through what it tried, learned a lot about what it's doing, so I kind of probably spent less time going through Discord docs. So yeah, it's hard to say where it's like the estimation is totally off sometimes. Like you said, like something that you think is very hard is very easy for it, and then something you think is very easy is very hard for it. So you have to find the things that you think are very hard and are very easy for the machine to do to get the most out of the LLM, I guess.
That's profound, but I don't know how to know what that is.
Yeah, I think we're all still figuring that out. And one interesting thing that it came up with is, because I want to shape the resources with Ash Discord for all of the things that you have in Discord, like guilds and channels and messages and guild members and everything like that. But I don't think just generating those with Igniter is like the way to go. Um, so we are looking at ways to add interfaces to Ash at the moment as a way to having like a contract that I can then ship with it, and then have an Igniter task that can look at the resource, check the interfaces, and add the interface implementation into the resource, so you don't have to write that by hand necessarily. But that way you can then modify the resources however you like, as long as you have those specific actions and attributes that are defined by the interface. And I also let Claude take a stab at that. And I still have to go through the code and everything, but the tests at least look pretty nice. Um, so it implemented this Spark DSL interface, and then you can specify a different DSL module, and then you can define parts of the DSL here. And then another resource can implement that interface, and it will check if it implements all of those. So for example here, because the address is missing, it wouldn't compile. And that way, that might be a good way to ship some kind of contract for libraries that want to expose different resources to the users, because that's still a bit of an unsolved problem in Ash. Or there are not a lot of people doing it at the moment. And it came up. Sorry.
I was just saying that the tests that it generated are really nice. I have a hard time getting it to generate good tests sometimes. I mean, it'll generate tests that test the thing, but sometimes they're just really ugly.
Yeah. Also, sometimes I have worse luck with the test than I have with the regular code, because it's just like it can't do much wrong with defining the HDSL, right? But the tests are a bit more free form. But I think it helps the more, like in a bigger code base, depending on the code base, but if the code base has a lot of established patterns, that helps a lot. So I always, when I tell it to do something, I include other files that follow similar patterns as an example. And that also helped a lot with getting better results for me.
Yeah, I kind of follow the same. Like if I get a module working, then I say that use this model and based on that, try to create a new one for a given resource or something like that. So it does a good job there.
Yeah, and then another thing I do is like one thing that sometimes is even better than the planning mode in Cloud Code is going to the web UI or Cloud, like the desktop one, but they don't have it for Linux, and use the research mode there. Because I feel like it's doing way more research on the internet when you use that, and you go through a lot more links and documentation than Cloud Code does. So I often start with that and use that as input for my first prompt into Cloud. Found that useful as well. Yeah, any more questions?
Yes, I have a question. Not really related to the AI part, but I'm a little bit familiar with the Nostrum library. I've noticed that it's aggressive about how it wants you to set up a consumer. Um, do you have a consumer that you could show?
Yeah, sure. Uh, oh, yeah, so this is the consumer that uses the Ash Discord one that Claude made. So instead of just having the handle message, Claude implement the callbacks for all of the different message types. Still thinking about that one. And in the Ash Discord one, there should be more of the definitions for the actual event handlers. So yeah, here it's just doing pattern matching on the event type, then calling the callback, doing a bit of internal stuff, if it's a command, if it's directed at the bot or if it's a bot message. And I'm not really happy with that yet, but that's also just what Claude did at the moment, yeah.
Do you know if this is loaded into your application when running tests, or is that excluded from the supervision?
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. There is at the moment no way to not start Nostrum in tests,
Okay.
that I found, or at least in a good way. But I saw that on Discord that they had merged something, but it's not released yet, where you can start Nostrum like a normal thing in your supervision tree, and then you can decide if you want it or not. So that should be out some time in the future, from what I gather.
That's been my experience with it. Is you add it to your mix file, and it says like, okay, this must, one, you must add the consumer to your supervision tree, and two, you must have a live Discord token.
Yeah, that's also what annoyed me the most, that I had to have a real token in the test config. Yeah,
Right.
and yeah, there is an issue, and they have something merged, and I'm hoping that they release it pretty soon. So I encountered that as well.
This is really cool though. Thanks for showing it.
Sure. And on the ASHI stuff is actually like, it's not a lot to show, because what the fuck is this? Okay, this looks like library code, but why is it in here? I don't know. Because like most of the time, it's just a small action. Yeah, like this one calls llama guard 3, right? And that's all. And there's a bit of config to just tell it where the URL is for your local llama or wherever you hosted it. So, and yeah, this one is just the action. And then this one is the one that collects the messages. No, this one is the one. And here I just like give it a bunch of messages. I can have a template that has like the ex stuff in it. I render out all the messages and tell it to give me back. I think I can actually remove this because I'm not sure, because like normally Ash would add something at the bottom for the types that you have here in your return types. But if you specify a custom prompt, I'm not sure if that's actually the case, so I might still need it here. But it works, so that's good. Yeah, still learning as well, still trying the stuff out. And most of the custom code is just the actions that do like the Discord interactions. And the thing that was also tripping Claude up a bit is the whole interactions that I showed you before with the buttons. Let's just move one message for now. I don't know, but it has to be a new one. Or here, everything that you click, you get a new interaction through Nostrum, and then you have to respond to it. And that I did that then by just saving the interaction and have a process command. And in the components are actually pretty cool. You can create pretty rich Discord like interfaces and stuff. So this should be in send confirmation. Yeah. So every component gets a custom ID, and you get the custom ID with the interaction. So I just saved this one, and the way I did it for now is just I specify a module, whoops, an action and an ID, and then I just know how to call that. And then it gets picked up by Oben, and that one just calls this action. And then I have the code over there on the actual job resource again. So the logic is contained in there. And that one just takes the interaction, knows how to respond to it. So it's a pretty multi-step process to get all of that chat stuff working. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you, Barnabas.
Thanks
I
for
worked
listening
on
to
a
me.
Discord bot a couple weeks back. Can I demo it to everybody?
Sure.
Sorry, what?
Oh, I said, let me know.
Did they echo mine?
Oh,
Okay,
well,
yeah,
let's
now
see.
it's good. Yeah, yeah.
I said I worked on a Discord bot a couple of weeks back, and I'd love to demo it to everybody if y'all are interested.
Sure.
All right, cool. Let me share my screen.
You can view your laptop too.
All right. Is this good? It's still a little bit.
Can you mute your microphone?
Oh, mute my microphone. Okay, 1 second. All right.
Speak to this microphone.
This. I see. I see.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, perfect. So how many of you are using Discord like a lot?
Hmm.
You communicate on Discord. Some of you do. So one of the issues like I faced while I was communicating on Discord was like, especially the general chats, a lot of times there will be a bunch of messages and people replying to each other, and that kind of gets quite out of hand. So one of the things, one of the Discord hosts or moderators mentioned is like they wanted to try to enforce threads, because that's the new feature that Discord came up with a couple years back, so that all the conversations can be consolidated in one place. So I was like, people are going to forget, right? You just start replying to messages and it just, the conversation keeps going there, and once you have a few messages in, it's hard to convert it to a thread. So I came up with the idea, this might already exist, it's called Threaded. So it's a Discord bot that keeps channels clean by converting replies into threads. And for this one, it's not nearly as feature-rich as the previous demo, but the single purpose of this bot is to convert replies into threads. I used Augment AI for a lot of this, and this is Python, so we can go through the code a little bit, but I'll just jump into the demo and show everybody how the feature works. So this is my test channel. I can go to like just start a thread, like what is the best AI coding tool? All right, and maybe someone will reply with Claude. So as soon as a reply is detected in any channel, Threaded will identify that, deletes it, and moves it into a thread. So we can actually open a thread and we can see who messaged and what the content was, and we can continue the conversation from there. If someone tries to reply again, cursor, the thread or the message will be deleted and actually moved into the same thread. So there won't be any duplicate threads, and all the conversations will be consolidated in one place. This is not nearly as nice as the webhook with the picture and the name, which was looking really good. So this is, I'm using like a Discord embed. At least I can get the original author's picture and name there. I don't think webhooks work within threads, unfortunately. So I might have a different solution in the future. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know. So that's essentially it. I did add a little command here. So if anyone is new to the bot and they want to understand what it does, there's a little bit of a help text and intro to get them started. So let me just jump into the code a little bit then. It's pretty simple. This is just a single Python file for the most part that's using the discord.py, I think. And so AI generated a lot of this. So let's go to onReady. So as soon as the bot is ready, we set the activity so that people can see the bot is active with the status. And I added some logging for when guilds join or guilds would remove this bot, as well as error handling. On a new message that's sent, on every message that's sent, we first make sure it's not like a thread created message, because we don't want to create threads on top of those messages. And we automatically delete the system thread created messages, otherwise they really clutter up the general chat. We first check if it's a bot. If it's a bot reply, then we don't create a thread from it. Here's the handling of the threaded command, which prints the help message. All right, and we also ignore messages that are not replies, because they're not replying, or at least we can't really know like what they're replying to, so we're not taking any action there. And then we also make sure the messages are not already in a thread, because we can't create threads inside threads. And also we make sure it's actually like a server message from a Discord server and not like a direct message. And after that, if all those conditions meet, or if it meets all the different conditions, we then go to the process reply to thread channel or method function here, and that's where all the action happens. We're doing some logging by defining a start time. We're validating permission, make sure the bot has permission to do this. We gather some information about the reply and generates a reply. And then finally we clean up the message and we send the message, or we create a thread and then send the message. So there are some other helper methods that we use to get the reply information, all the necessary information to create threads and to generate replies. So here's the Discord embed that I'm using, that has the author name and picture there with the timestamp. Also, like for any attachments, because people like to send emojis, GIFs, or any attachments, they are all forwarded over to the thread as well. So this really helps, keeping the general channels clean.
Super cool.
I also, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Vault hackathon last month. Vault, it's like an AI hackathon. It's a tool that generates like UI for the most part. It's I think Stackblitz. It's either owned by or part of the product suite of Stackblitz, and they were giving out free credits, AI credits basically. So I pulled all my README and I generated a website from it as well, and that looks like this right now. It's really crazy like how much it can generate by just like one prompt. I did tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, this is the website that it generated with all the feature cards. It read all my README, read my code, and really understands how things work. It even generated this example workflow, which was crazy. Like it looks like Discord.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how I knew how to do that, but it generated that also. And then installation instructions and everything like that. So yeah, I felt that was pretty cool. It took me one night to do the code and maybe one more day to just clean it up and open source it. So that's my first time really just working on projects using AI for the bulk of it, and it was crazy.
I did that too, actually. I launched a website with a audio spectrum frequency analysis. It's still kind of a work in process, but very cool experience putting that together.
Nice. Yeah, just want to show that. If anyone has any feedback or questions, please feel free to drop me a note.
Anthony, did you want to show your site off real fast, or no pressure either?
I'm not really prepared to do that today. Maybe in a future date.
All right, awesome. All right, guys. No one has any more questions for Barnabas. Barnabas, thank you for taking time so late in the evening to present tonight. Appreciate it a lot.
Thanks.
Anybody else who knows?
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we can clap. You should clap.
Thanks. All right. Have a nice day.
All right, see you later.
Nice day, guys.
Maybe next month, are you going to ElixirConf?
No.
And go.
No.
See you guys.